Hi, Karen with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a scrapbook layout for Cut to You design team, and today I'm featuring not one but two cut files on my layout today, and I'm using leaf sprigs and rosy posy files. And I'm also solving the CSI challenge, which I'll talk a little bit about later. I first wanted to show you just a little bit about what I've done with the cut files, particularly the rosy posy cut file. So when I've cut that out, I've decided I wanted to use this as a layering piece as we move forward. And I wanted just to put some color into the place. So I have colored and used my water sprays from Shimmers for that. The colours that I used are Pink Moscato, which is a little bit of a darker pinky purpley colour. And then I've also used Creamies in One Hot Mama. And I've just graduated some of those colours as it goes throughout the petals. So sort of the darker piece in the middle, and then I've lightened it up as you go along the pattern of the rose. With the leaves, I've also painted those, and I painted those with Shimmers paint in its Mint to Be. Oh my goodness, that is such a mouthful. And I did add a little bit of colorings of Oh Say Can You See as well, which is a little bit of a different greeny color as well. And I have backed the rose component with some vellum because I wanted to be able to show, because it's going to be a layer piece, I wanted it to be able to give some depth with what was underneath it. And you'll see what I mean as we move forward with the layout. The leaf sprigs I have just backed with some patterned paper, which is just leftover scraps from a previous Kitaholics kit. And I love that about being able to use cut files. It gives you such an opportunity. I save so many more scraps than what I ever used to, knowing that I'm probably going to use it on a cut file. All right. So I knew that I wanted to make this quite a mixed media sort of background, and I did think I was going to use quite a bit of water on this layout, and I certainly did. So to first create the ability to be able to get that paint to move and the water to move a lot better around the page, I did gesso my white cardstock. I'm using textured white cardstock here. That is pretty much my favorite go-to cardstock. And I did do a very heavy coat of clear gesso on this page, just so I could make sure that I could really give this a really good go in terms of adding inks and paint and water to the page. So I've started off there with the Creamies in One Hot Mama as well, just to tie back to the Rosy Posy cut file to make sure that I'm sort of layering these colours across the page and as we move around. Part of the CSI challenge is that photo prompt has the tiers, which is why I went with the layers. And also too, as part of the evidence that you can gather for the layout for this challenge this month, is also about creating a wreath. So I thought that's why the leaf sprig was perfect for that. It comes as that two piece, so I could really start to see how that was going to go around the page. Now, to make sure I was sort of landing my paints in the right spot, I did use some pencil marks around the page just to give me a little bit of idea of where I was going to land. And I just went through the paints and layered them, got them to dry. In some situations, I did use my heat gun. At other times, I let it dry naturally because I wanted that depth of color. If you'll see where I've done some of the drying naturally is on that left-hand sort of bottom section there, that little darker section. That's really from drying that naturally and not using the heat gun. It didn't spread it out as much. Now, the yellow that I've put on the page is one of my favorite colors with Distress Oxide sprays. It's in Mustard Seed. The yellow is just so beautiful. And when I started adding the yellow onto there, because I knew I wanted to have a little bit of orange as well, I did leave a little bit of the pink a little bit wet. So when it reacted with the Distress Oxide, it gave a little bit of that orange tinge throughout some of the yellow component as well. So I really love how this background turned out. I did then finish off with some splatters just for some added depth. I mean, there's nothing better than putting some splatters on a page. It's one of my favorite things to do. So So what I decided to do then, again, well, like I said before, this one was all about layers. So I knew I had all these wonderful, wonderful Simple Stories sticker sheets that I don't have the full collections for. So I wanted to see if I could really mix and match these together and form this beautiful wreath around these photos. So the Simple Stories sticker book I have in Simple Vintage and Cottage Fields, but I don't have any of the pattern paper. And I've got a sticky sheet here from the Garden District as well. And I do have another one in my stash, which is part of the Coastal, but I'm pretty sure I didn't use any of the ephemera from that because it's very beachy orientated, so it didn't really go with my theme there. But what I did do is I turned those into die cuts by sticking the stickers onto white cardstock. Now you'll see here, as we've got to the gorgeous, I do say so myself, I did swap out my photos. So once I had a bit of a look at this one, I felt that I had crowded a little bit too much because of how much ephemera and how many layers I placed on the layout. So I did swap out the photo. And then I finished off the layout with some wonderful splatters in gold and some white as well, and went back over with some of the pink Moscato and also the Distress Yellow Mustard Seed as well. So I will have all the details below of the CSI blog, all the links to the Cut to You store and to the files and to the blog post as well. I would love it if you liked and subscribed. And as always, thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun sharing this one with you today, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.